What's up, everybody? Sorry for this late edition of Ask FP. I'm trying to get adjusted. My schedule's changed up a little bit, and I'm having a little bit of a problem getting acclimated, but I'm back. Brandon Valorio says, what changes do you think could be made to MLB 15 to improve the game? First and foremost, I love it, so I'll say that, but it doesn't mean that it's perfect, because I don't think there's any such thing as a perfect game. I think that allowing you to play friends on Diamond Dynasty is one thing that would help. Another thing is improving the commentary. I think the commentary is not so good. It's definitely lagging behind games like NBA 2K15, so I think that's something definitely that could be improved. Nate Blair says, who will start at quarterback for Ohio State? Personally, I think Miller is the biggest talent if healthy, but that's a big if. I like Miller, but I would probably go with Cardale. I mean, he's already proven in the biggest games that he can get it done. I mean, he's humongous. He has the big arm. I think he brings another aspect that maybe Braxton doesn't bring with the strength of his arm going down the field. So I don't know. I think I would go with Cardale. Nate Blair also says, do you think that MLB should implement a salary cap? I do. Obviously, money doesn't dictate everything, because if it did, the Yankees and the Dodgers would win a World Series every year. But I do think just from a level playing field standpoint, it would be better. I think it also would allow you to see which general managers were best at budgeting, scouting, and bringing in the right type of people, because you wouldn't have as much money to throw away. Yovan says, what team should draft Mario Hezonja? I love the videos. Thank you, sir. I think he can go anywhere from the 7 to 11 range. Teams like Detroit could use him. I think Phoenix could use him. I like his game. He is a scoring wing who plays with swagger and a ton of confidence. So I like his game. I've heard him compared to Rex Chapman. I could kind of see that. So it's going to be interesting. Yvonne also says, what are your thoughts on Penny Hardaway not getting into the Hall of Fame? In my opinion, Penny Hardaway was a Hall of Fame talent, but because of injuries, he didn't have a Hall of Fame career. And when you're putting someone in the Hall of Fame, it's not about what they could have done, it's about what they actually did. And while he had a few great seasons, the injuries robbed him of what I know would have happened had he not been injured. Jose Bejarano says, do you think they'll release a patch for MLB The Show 15 that will show post-game replay like in 14? Well, Jose, you know what I'd be interested in? I'd be interested in knowing how many people, right, actually watched the replays before. Because a lot of times I think that's how they make the decision of what's going to go and what's going to stay, by how many people were watching it to begin with. So that'll be interesting. Andreas Brown asks, are you updating the draft class as players declare? Yes, I am. That's why a little bit earlier last week, I put a note in the video for Chris Obekpa, basically saying that he was going to be removed because he decided to go back to school. So I went ahead and took him out. So I'll be doing that, adding and putting players back in when possible. So we'll do it that way. So now Chicago sports fans says, do you think that Frank Kaminsky will be a top 5 draft pick? Also, what team would be the best fit for him? He's not going to be a top 5 pick. He's a great college player. He's going to be a decent role player in the NBA. He can really shoot it, and he has really good footwork, and he plays hard. But athletically, he's limited, and that's going to make it difficult for him to be a star in the NBA. But I do think he can be a very valuable role player, maybe a team with Boston or Utah coming off the bench. I think he'd be a good player. Chicago sports fan also says, if you could pick any player to be on the Bears, who would it be? For me at this point, it would be Tom Brady, because I think what the Bears miss most right now is leadership on the offensive side of the ball, and I can't really think of a better player or a better leader on offense right now than Tom Brady. I think he'd help the Bears right now more than anybody. But if you're talking about looking to the future, I would probably take Cam Newton, because for the same reasons, but he's younger. Anthony Valorio says, I saw an article about Mark Cuban criticizing college basketball, saying the state it's in now hurts the NBA. Do you agree? I don't really know. I understand where he's coming from, but obviously you also have to know that that's a self-serving comment by Mark Cuban. You know, he's in the NBA, that's where his business is, so he's going to want to do or say anything that best fits him. I don't necessarily agree with that. Gerard Durheim says, what is your favorite sports video game of all time? So I don't have just one, Gerard. First and foremost, and this would probably be number one, Fight Night Round 3, to this day, is the best I've ever been in any game. I was like 1,200 and 400 online. Madden 12 I love because you can create teams, like a whole full league of teams. I absolutely love MLB 15 The Show enough to put it in this list, and yes, NBA 2K15 is right there for me as well. So, I mean, but you know, it's hard to say with something like that. I mean, a lot of people have a lot of different games that they like. You like it for different reasons. Some games you excuse maybe the graphics or whatever because at the time when you played it, it was just so fun. But those are my 4. Gerard also says, I'm sorry about blacking out some part of this. Says, who do you see my Vikings pick with the 11th overall draft pick in this year's NFL draft? I would say Trey Waynes from Michigan State. That's him there. He's long, wiry cornerback who is really perfect for this day and age when you have so many big receivers. He's very competitive, very physical at the line of scrimmage. Reminds me a little bit of Charles Tillman. So Taylor Davenport also, I apologize for the obstruction there. What do you think about the moves the Braves made this offseason, and where do you think they will go from here? Obviously, the Braves said, hey, this is all about the future. I mean, you trade a guy like Craig Kimbrell, you're clearly getting salaries off. You got rid of Jason, you let Jason Hayward go to start the season. It's clear what they're doing, but you still have guys like Andrelton Simmons. So I think they're building for the future, which is something they did before. But so far this season, they've been playing pretty well. So we'll see if they're having a surprising year. Everson Carter says, is Jeff Hardy a Hall of Famer? I think so. I think so. I think he revolutionized things, and from a hardcore, high-flying standpoint, doing things we had really never seen people do before. And I think because of that, yes, he's one of the worst guys on the mic ever for people who ever held a title. I mean, terrible on the mic. But in the ring, he was so dynamic, and he has such a presence, I think he is. Sean Langston says, do you think 2K will put WNBA teams and players in NBA 2K16 next year? And if they do, would you play with the WNBA players? You know what? I might, but 2K doesn't really do things that don't have a lot of money potential, and I just don't think that's going to have a lot of money potential. Just my personal opinion. I could be wrong, but I just don't think there will be enough people that will be interested in that mode that would make them money. That's just me. Simon Torve suddenly says, what have you made of Paul George's return so far? I think it's been good. I think it's been nice as an inspiration for the Pacers as they make this run to try to make the playoffs. Today is the day for them. They need to beat Memphis. But I think they're easing Paul George in the right way. He hit a big shot in overtime against Washington on Tuesday night to help set this up. So if they can get him more and more healthy and get him to play more minutes, and they can make a deep playoff run, they could really be a surprise. Jovan says, should players vote for the actual awards instead of Players' Choice Awards? In terms of all of those awards, MVP awards, I should say, I think that there should be a statistical MVP. So a guy who is basically the most outstanding player and is based all on numbers. And then I think that there should be a most valuable player award. And I do think that that should be based off of the players, what the players think. That's just the way I think that should go. I'm a part of the media, but the media can give out an award too. But I think the one that should hold the most weight is the one based on statistics and what the players say. Simon Torve Sunderland says, I struggle a fair bit when running the bases on Road to the Show. Are there any different ways to run them than using the stick? Yeah, I think you can turn the classic, go into the settings and turn it to classic, and then you run it with like the L1, R1. I think. I haven't used it that way, but I think you can. Anthony Halls says, will 2K16 have an Ultimate Legends roster? If it will, I'll feel obliged to buy the game. I feel you, man. I appreciate that. I take that as a compliment. Probably. I have been really surprised with the response to the roster, to be honest. I mean, obviously I thought it was cool because I did it, but last I checked, it was like 12,000 downloads. And I thank everybody that downloaded it. It was pretty cool. HDG Ball Out says, what did you think of that putback dunk by Elfrid Payton against the Bulls? Lately, he's been stepping up. Ball out. Elfrid Payton is a very good young point guard prospect. If he gets a jump shot, he's going to be one of the top 7 point guards, top 5, top 7 point guards in the NBA. It's just that simple. Got to get a jump shot, though. That's the problem. But he has the size, he has the speed, the quickness. He's a super competitor. You know, but right now he's a little bit bigger Rajon Rondo, which is obviously a good player, but if he wants to take that next step, he needs to get that jump shot together. King Marglow says, why doesn't anybody in the NFL wear 0 or 00 as a number? The NFL has very strict number specification rules. Like wide receivers can only wear between 10 and 19 and 80 and 89. And part of their rule specifications is that nobody can wear 0 or 00. That may change because you got retired numbers and all of that stuff. So we'll see. Joshua Paramore says, since you are so good at pronouncing names, no hate, try to pronounce my real name. I believe it is Artem Dmitrievich Kozlov. I might be wrong, but I think it's Artem Dmitrievich Kozlov. I don't know. I think because I've been a sports fan like my whole life, and so many, you know, athletes are from different parts of the world, and it just kind of sunk in. Only reason I think I might be wrong about yours, but we'll see. Trevor Allen says, are you going to pick up MKX, Mortal Kombat X? I already have it, Trevor, and I'm getting smoked like a black and mild on this game online. It was really bad yesterday. I think I had like 20 online matches. I got better as it kept going on, but I think I might only won like 3 or 4 times. It was rough. It was rough, but the game is really cool. So Trevor Allen also says the ideal first round Bulls opponent, the Wizards or the Bucks. I'm not a person that believes in that whole ideal opponent thing. The point is to win the championship, right? So you gotta be the best team at the end. So I don't really care, you know, and I don't even think teams or players should care who they face. Ultimately, if this team is a team that's better than you, then you don't deserve to win the championship anyway. So whoever you get in the first round is whoever you get. Six Burr says, how good of a player do you think Marcus Smart can be? I think Marcus Smart and Elfrid Payton are in very much the same boat. Both of them are limited by not being able to consistently knock down the open shot from the outside, but they're both very good defenders. Smart is more physically strong, but both of them are good athletes, can go to the basket and finish. But the jump shot is what is going to determine if they turn the corner to be great or not. Tyler Knowles says, if EA Sports does decide to keep making UFC games, what do you think they will do to make EA Sports UFC 2 even better? I think that they'll pick up where they left off with the gameplay, because I think they made some very, very smart gameplay updates after the game was released. Maybe the most I've ever seen any game change post-release, aside from Backbreaker when that came out. But I think that they have to make the career mode deeper. That's the biggest thing they have to do, and also loosen up some stuff online. The Great Patriot says, you got to get rid of one. Which one is it? He wants the Brahma Bull one gone, but is it $1 million belt, the spinner, the Brahma Bull, or the Smoking Skull? I would probably say the Smoking Skull. No disrespect to Stone Cold, but I just never been a fan of skulls, so that don't do nothing for me. So I would probably say that one. Jalen Cook says, do you think the MLB The Show series will ever be on Xbox? Man, I don't know. I don't know. It's almost like, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that Xbox would be more inclined to either create their own, or I think at some point down the line, 2K or EA gets back into baseball and helps to level the playing field for Xbox users from the baseball standpoint. Brandon Cage says, what do you think the Jets should do in the draft? Should they trade up for a quarterback in the first, or pick Petty or Hundley? For the Jets, because I still am not giving up on Geno, I would say they can wait and get a player like Petty or Hundley later in the draft and not trade up to try to get Mariota or Winston. I don't know if we're done yet with Geno, so I would hold fast. Simon Torbe Sunderland says West standings. Portland is ahead of Houston and Memphis with a worse record. How much is a division win worth? Well, if you win a division in the NBA, you're guaranteed to get one of the top 4 slots. So Portland's going to win the Northwest, so that's why they're ahead of Houston and Memphis at this point, because neither of them are slotted as division winners. Walter Davis says, who do you think the Lions and Pistons should draft that would fill a need or just become a star? Now, on the basketball side, I think Justice, and this was what I was talking about a little bit earlier, I think Justice Winslow is the guy they need most. His defensive presence, he can go to the basket, he's very athletic, and he's a team guy, he's a glue guy, and I think he would really help them. As far as the Lions, you gotta fix or fill in for losing in Ndamukong Suh, and I think Danny Shelton is that guy. Got a picture of him playing with a big silver ball. D. Spearman says, will the MLB 15 show ever be on PC? I don't think so. I can't recall any Sony game ever being on PC, and that's why I would say I doubt that. Sony just has never made, to my knowledge, had a PC game. So I just don't see that being the first one. I could be wrong, but there it is. D. Spearman also says, do you believe the rumors and picks about Xbox One Slim being in development? I do. Even though they haven't done a whole bunch of Microsoft hasn't done a lot of slim designs or whatever. But looking at this little spot from GameSpot, Rob Crossley noted that the Xbox One dropped to I think that's 300 pounds in the UK. So that a price drop almost kind of would make you think, and this is kind of what he was talking about, make you think that possibly there is another design of the game coming out, because why drop the price of the old the old design? So I don't know, we'll see. I definitely don't think it's a crazy concept. It's something that people would like for sure, and Xbox One needs to do something to try to catch up with PS4 console buys. But that's it. I appreciate y'all watching. God bless. Peace.